I slept with his boss thinking he'd never find out, but he planned this.
I feel like I've ruined my husband's job and made his work difficult. It's all my fault, and it has to be the biggest mistake I've ever made in my life. I cheated on my husband. I gave in to the temptation, the costly temptation that kept showing up to me. They say that whoever finds a wife finds a good thing, but I don't think I've been a good discovery to my husband. I'm pretty sure he's hating me with every fiber in his bone right now. Hate is not an exaggeration. I even think it's an understatement. I can't even face my parents right now. What will I tell them? I cheated on my husband and might ruin his career and end his job. There's no way my parents would ever take me back after that. My husband did not just take revenge on me. He literally shattered me to pieces and made sure I regretted cheating on him. My husband did not let it go at all. He has ruined me in so many ways that I cannot even begin to describe the level of pain I feel. He made sure that he left no stone unturned. I am only realizing now that I have been through a whole lot. And it's crazy, but I can't deny the fact that everything I have been through is as a result of the big mistakes I've made. My name is Faith, and I'm a 24 years old entrepreneur. I've been married to my husband, Leonard, for the past 2 years now. We dated for 2 years before we got married. I met my husband when I was 20 years old. Leonard is quite older than me, though. He's 27 years old. He's a banker, and he's a very smart one at that. Leonard is very hardworking, and I don't ever want to miss the chance of bragging about that. That's why the consequences of my actions are finally dawning on me, and I've realized that cheating on him has to be the worst mistake I've ever made. Cheating on Leonard wasn't an accident. I'll be the world's biggest liar if I come here and lie that it was an accident and I didn't know how it happened. I know exactly how everything happened, and that's why I'm currently disgusted at myself. It's normal for human beings to do things consciously, then regret it all later. I'm not different, and that's why I've come to share this big mistake with everyone. For the past 2 years of my marriage to Leonard, I've been myself, and he's been himself. We never let our work disrupt our marriage, and we always show up and show out for each other. Ever since I married Leonard, I've actually never met his boss until a few months ago. Sure, I've been to his workplace a couple of times, but I've never met anyone in particular, and he never bothered introducing me to any of them. I can't be the only one who's not familiar with everyone at my husband's workplace, right? Exactly 7 months ago, Leonard was invited to the end-of-the-year party his bank was holding. He asked me to be his +1, and I said yes in a heartbeat. I didn't want to ever miss a chance to support him. While we dressed up and chatted happily, I would have never guessed that the end-of-the-year party would be what caused my marriage doom. I had no idea that I was walking right into a trap. If I had known, I would have never gone to that party. Leonard bought me a nice dress and a pair of shoes. The color theme of the party was wine, and I didn't really have anything appropriate in that color, so he bought me something to wear. My sister is an upcoming makeup artist, and she's the one that helped me with my makeup that night. I feel like shouting her out, but I want to keep our identities a secret as much as I can. When Leonard and I arrived at the party, it was a lot to take in. I never really expected a bank's end-of-the-year party to be as extravagant as that one was. The mood was nice, and Leonard asked to properly introduce me to his colleagues. Before, I'd only come to his workplace once in a while and randomly greet anyone I came across at that particular moment. I felt excited to meet my husband's colleagues because he always told me so much about them. He introduced me to his friends first. They were very nice and welcoming, and most of them even told me just how smart my husband is. I felt like a proud wife that day because they were definitely telling the truth. Before Leonard could introduce me to his boss had something to attend to do. He left. Leonard and I just went around testing the cocktails and tasting the finger-licking food. I even forgot all about the person my husband wanted to introduce to me. But sometime into the party, his boss walked up to us and apologized for not being able to speak to us earlier. We didn't have a problem with it at all. Before I go on, I'd like to properly state that my husband's boss is actually not one of the owners of the bank. He's just the head of the department my husband works at in the bank. His name is Raphael, and he's 30 years old. When my husband introduced us, I didn't see it as a big deal, and I didn't take interest in him at all. Of course, I noticed that he held my hand a little longer than expected, but that was the only thing I'd noticed that was unusual. He didn't even stand with us for long before he left. My husband always talked about his colleagues, but he never really bragged about his boss, so I imagined that they didn't have a relationship outside of work. We went on with the evening and had as much fun as possible. I didn't see Raphael after that, and I honestly didn't even remember I met him. That party and our very first meeting was extremely insignificant, and it's not an understatement. There was nothing out of the ordinary that happened. The real drama started weeks after the first meeting with him. After the party, Leonard and I went home and chatted about everything that happened at the party. That's how we usually acted after every event we were able to attend together. Days after the event, I forgot all about the meeting and the party itself. Life went on as usual, and I focused on my business. As an entrepreneur, I find myself indulging in any business ideas I get. I like the concept of earning money and doing something productive. My best friend and I co-own a salon, and that has to be one of the most important businesses I indulge myself in. One day, I got an unexpected visitor. When I say unexpected visitor, to know you guys might have guessed right already. Raphael came to the salon. I didn't even take note of him or recognize him at first. I was busy with a customer, but my best friend came to meet me and said we had a customer who claims to know me. I got curious and decided to go see who she was talking about. I was very surprised to see my husband's boss, Raphael, with the young lady. I was very surprised, and I even had to do a double take because I could not believe my eyes. He introduced himself again and asked if I remembered him. I told him I did, and that was when he asked me to give him a minute of my time. I didn't know how to act because it felt awkward to be interacting with my husband's boss without him around. It was even more awkward because I only met him once. When he pulled me to the side to have a conversation, he told me that someone recommended him to come to my salon. I did not really understand how he suddenly got a recommendation to come to my salon and how he knew that I was the one that could own it. I got curious and asked him who had directed him to my salon. He just told me that he always heard from my husband that I owned a salon. To be honest, the whole conversation was awkward because I did not know how to address Raphael. After the awkward conversation and telling me how important business is, he told me that the young lady he brought with him was his niece, and she needed to have her hair done. He said he'd been looking for a salon where he knew someone so he could drop his niece off and be rest assured that she would stay and have her hair done. According to him, his niece was quite rebellious, and she often ran away when he left her at places. That's why he decided to bring her to my salon when he found out I had a salon. I honestly found his explanation weird, but I needed to make money and had no problem with babysitting a teenager. I agreed to make sure she stays till he comes to pick her up after work. That was the arrangement we made before he left. My best friend got his niece's hair done while I focused on the customer I'd been working on before. Barely 4 hours later, he was back again to pick up his niece. He thanked me and said he was very grateful. I found his pleasantries weird because it was not a big deal that I let his niece stay at the salon for that long. Many people did that before and it was never a problem. But I accepted his thanks and told him that it was not a big deal. I just labeled the incident as pure coincidence. I did not want to think much about it because it was not a big deal. My best friend and I were actually happy because we felt like our salon was popular, lol. Only if I knew that what I thought to be a coincidence was not even a coincidence at all. When I got back home that day, I contemplated telling my husband what had happened. It was not a big deal, and I always had customers at the salon, so I didn't know if it was necessary to tell my husband. But after some time, I decided it was best I tell him so that he could thank his boss on my behalf. I wanted to properly thank him for patronizing me, and so I decided to tell my husband. When I told my husband, he did not see it as a big deal either. He told me that he had mentioned that I owned a salon at work many times, and maybe that was why his boss decided to patronize me. He agreed to thank him on my behalf, and that was it. Life went on, and I focused on my business as usual. But 2 weeks later, I got another unexpected visit from Raphael. He came with his niece again, and this time he said he wanted to get her hair washed. I thanked him for coming again, and then I washed his niece's hair. Unlike last time, he actually stayed till I washed the hair. I did not expect him to stay till I finished working because I expected him to go to work. I was curious, but I did not bother to ask him the question. I didn't want to intrude, and I was still very formal with him because he was my husband's boss. I just assumed that maybe he had the right to stay out of work for long because he was the boss of a particular department. After getting his niece's hair washed, I actually refused to collect money for the hair wash. Her hair wasn't even that dirty, and I did not have a lot of work to do. I just thanked him for coming, and then I decided to help his niece braid her hair into 2 pieces. He was not ready to accept my kind gesture, and he said business was business, and there was no need to give him a discount. I said I was just doing it because his niece did not have very dirty hair, and I barely did anything. He finally accepted the gesture and left with his niece. After he left, my best friend actually sat me down and told me that she had a feeling he was just looking for an excuse to come see me. I took everything she said as a joke and said it was inappropriate. I even feel like a fool as I write this because I can't believe that something so inappropriate happened. The fact that I found it awkward and inappropriate when my best friend spoke about it, and then I went on to do the exact opposite of what I condemned her for, is crazy. My best friend first started speaking about everything as a joke, and she did not really seem serious. When I got back home that day, I refused to tell my husband about the encounter. I felt like if my best friend made a joke about him just coming to see me and using his niece as an excuse, my husband could have felt the same thing. I didn't want to bring up unnecessary ideas in his head, so I decided to keep the information to myself. After that day, I did not see Raphael for up to 1 month. To be honest, I even forgot all about what my best friend said to me. But the day Raphael came to the salon, I couldn't help but finally start understanding what my best friend meant. That day, he did not come with his niece. He came alone and asked to see me. Initially, I told him that I was busy with work because there were a lot of customers in the salon. I initially thought that I would be able to send him away because I felt uncomfortable speaking to him in private. That's why I said there were too many customers in the salon and that I was very busy. But to my surprise, he offered to wait for me till I was less busy. That really got me surprised because I did not expect him to offer to wait for me. I assumed that he would be very busy with work and did not have any time to waste. But that wasn't the case because he did not have a problem with waiting for me. I decided to intentionally waste his time and see if he would eventually get hard and leave. But he did not leave, guys. He stayed till I finished every single customer's hair. My best friend told me to decide and told me that she was right. She told me to tread carefully and that she could already see that he was looking for something. Her words confirmed all the fear I had in me, and I knew that something was going on. I finally went to speak to him and asked him why he came to the salon. He sensed that I was not really in a good mood and noticed how awkward I was asking. He told me that he was sorry for coming to my workplace suddenly, but it was important. I can't even begin to explain the level of awkwardness and shock I felt as he stood in front of me and spoke to me. My best friend had already put ideas in my head, and I knew that whatever was going on in his head could not be good at all. He told me that he could not stop thinking about me since he saw me at the party when my husband introduced us. He said he'd started looking for ways to meet me again, and that was why you asked around till he found out where my salon was. At first, when he started speaking, I tried to end the conversation and act like I was not listening to him. I was trying to give him the benefit of doubt and make him correct his words in case he had been making a mistake. But he refused to do that. He seemed to be very confident in what he was saying, and he did not change his words. I felt very weird, and I did not know what to say. That was the first time another man was speaking to me in such a way since I had gotten married. And it made me more uncomfortable that the person talking to me like that was my husband's boss. I told him that it was inappropriate for him to be speaking to me in that way. I said I would pretend like I did not hear everything he had said and pretend like you never came into the salon that day. That's what I told him, guys, because I did not want to disrespect my husband. But it seems like I ended up disrespecting me in the worst way anyway. Even after what I said, Raphael did not make a move to leave. I asked him to live politely again, but he refused. The only way I was able to make him leave was when I threatened to call my husband. He left immediately, but not after giving me his business card. Even though everything was surprising and it all felt like a bad dream, I knew that there was not anything good that could come out of entertaining Raphael. He was just infatuated and wanted to use me as his way of entertaining himself. I'd seen many movies about such situations, and I didn't want to fall prey to it. That's why it even hurts me most, now that I ended up falling prey to it, even after all the ways I tried to resist. I don't know how to tell you guys what I did when I got home that day. I know I will be judged and called several names, and I honestly do think I deserve it. I didn't tell Leonard what happened at the salon. It was mainly because I knew that telling him would raise his suspicions. I found it very embarrassing and awkward, and I didn't want him to have a bad working environment at work. That's when I realized that Raphael knew very well that I would never tell Leonard what he did, because I knew that he was Leonard's boss at work. He knew that I would try to protect Leonard at work, and that was why he was very confident. And I don't want this to get so long, so I'm going to start telling you everything in the most flashy way possible. After that day when Raphael told me his intentions, he kept coming to the salon every week. It was a very consistent visit, and even my best friend noticed. She advised me to talk to Leonard about it, but I refused. I chose to keep quiet about it. Maybe I actually liked the way he kept coming to the salon. I'm very ashamed of myself because I refused to tell Leonard about any of it. I just kept entertaining the visits and pretending like I did not notice any of it. My best friend warned me several times, but I refused to listen to her. So guys, Raphael did not just come empty-handed. He kept coming with gifts and several things. I don't know why or how they decided to be consistent. Less than a month after he started coming to the salon consistently, I foolishly started making conversation with him. Because I also work on the weekends at the salon, Raphael was able to come to see me on the weekend because he was not at work. Whenever he came over, we would spend hours chatting about random things. I didn't really know what I was even doing. I can't deny the fact that I kept indulging him in several ways. Weeks after he started visiting and I started indulging him, he started inviting me over to his house, and I went. I never told that my husband noticed anything. I'm very ashamed of myself, and I can't believe that I stooped so low. It was the only one of those visits to Raphael's house that things got to another stage, and that was when I officially cheated on my husband. Immediately it happened. I finally got to my senses and ran out of his house. I was so disgusted with myself that I took several showers after getting home. I felt like I committed the most outrageous thing, and in a way, that is the truth. I cheated on my husband with his own boss. There's nothing I could say to justify what I did, and that's why I know that I got everything I deserved. After the incident at Raphael's house, I stopped going to the salon for almost 1 month. I blocked his number and tried my best to avoid anything related to him. I didn't even let my husband touch me for days because I felt very guilty. It was very bad, but I am sure that I deserved everything. The guilt I felt was just the tip of the iceberg. The revenge that my husband ended up taking has to be the worst. He did not let me go easily, and he got a very bad revenge. I know that I shouldn't have expected anything less. I know that I had a very good marriage and there was nothing wrong with it. For the longest time, I kept on asking myself why I did what I did. I don't know what led me to do it. I held out for a very long time and I did not want to give in, but I ended up giving in. Even when he started coming to the salon regularly, I just kept telling myself that it was a temporary thing and I was just trying to keep myself entertained. But now I know I have just been making an excuse to lead myself into cheating on my husband. I've been slowly giving in without even knowing it. I acted like it was just a temporary thing, and I was just trying to humor myself, but it was all a lie. I can't keep lying to myself and pretend like I did not know where everything would have ended up. Why else would I entertain a man that clearly told me that he had feelings for me? I'm not a child, and I obviously knew that there was something you wanted from me. And I foolishly ended up giving to him at the detriment of my marriage, self-respect, and loyalty. Even while I was burying myself in my self-guilt and self-pity, I never imagined that my husband was aware of everything. I didn't know that he was aware of everything that had been going on. I thought that I was leaving him in the dark and that he would only know when I finally confessed the truth to him. I will be completely honest, because I am not trying to sugarcoat anything. If I am asked whether or not I actually planned on telling my husband the truth, I'll honestly say that I never thought of it. I knew that the truth would eventually come out one way or another, but I never really had the courage to tell him. That's why I know that I deserved everything you did to me. I kept lying to his face and pretending like everything was okay. It's even more scary that my husband knew the truth and found out on his own that I cheated on him with his boss. If you are wondering how he knew and how I found out that he was aware, I'll tell you now. I remember telling you at the start of this post that my husband is a very smart person. When I told you all that, I meant every word of it. He's very smart and attentive towards his environment, and there is no way you can hide anything from him. He notices every little detail, and that's how he was able to discover that something was wrong. Exactly 2 months ago, I got the shock of my life when Leonard did something very outrageous. Like I told you all, Leonard is a banker, and it only makes sense that I would save my money in the bank he works at. He's also the one that does my taxes for me and sorts everything out. Everything regarding my finances is done by my husband because he's a banker. Lol. I just stupidly made sure he was in charge of everything. He's even the one that helps me save. When I first got married to him, I was a very reckless spender. I'm not trying to say that I earned a lot of money. I ain't just the normal income, but I was a very reckless spender and I bought everything I saw. But when I married my husband, he started teaching me the art of saving. He taught me about finances and how to be a better entrepreneur. His advice really helped me, and that is why I started making him in charge of most things regarding my taxes and savings. Call me stupid, but there were even times when I would keep my money with him in case I was tempted to spend it. I was never worried because he had his own money, and he always returned it to me when I really needed it. Sometimes he would even reward me with some money when I saved a lot of money. I never imagined that the mutual trust we had would end up making me lose everything. I suddenly got a huge debit all right one day. Like I said, I'm an entrepreneur, so most of the money from my business is saved in the bank. My husband knows my PIN, and he's even the one in charge of most of my finances, like I said. I always save money with him sometimes, and the money is kept in his bank. On that particular day, all my money was gone. There was literally nothing left for me anymore. It felt like I was literally saying stars, guys. I was at the salon, and I practically bolted out of the salon and ran home. I didn't need a seer to tell me what had happened to my money. There was only one person who knew my PIN and was in charge of all my money. I knew that it had to be my husband who took the money, and I was not wrong. When I got home, he wasn't home, so I had to wait for him to return. When he came back, I proceeded to ask him what had happened to my money, and that was when I got another shock of my life. My husband slapped me hard on the face, and I fell back in fear. The rage and anger in his eyes gave me goosebumps, and I swear that I can still see the image of how angry he had been. He shook his head infinitesimally and said to me that I had been the worst decision he had ever made in his life. Those words literally pierced into my skin. I don't know if writing this would ever be able to describe just how much hatred I saw in his eyes. Leonard looked at me like I had been so disgusting. He told me that I had to be a fool because I was very loose and stupid. I was so shocked by everything that not even a single word came out from her mouth. I was just too stunned to speak, and I knew there was nothing I could say that would make any sense. He proceeded to tell me how he had been aware of the fact that I have been cheating on him. Yes, guys, he has been aware of it for some time. He called me dumb for thinking I could mess with him and get away with it. The amount of anger I saw in Leonard that day was very foreign to me. I'd never seen him so angry, and I never believed that he could be that upset. I was even very shocked that he had found out I was cheating on him. He told me how he suspected something was up when I told him his boss had visited my salon. Apparently, he was actually not on good terms with his boss, and so when he heard that his boss came to my salon, he knew that something was up, but he refused to tell me about it. He had hired someone to keep an eye on me, and that person has been giving him reports of everything I had been up to. Even the day I followed Raphael to his house, Leonard was aware of it. I was very shocked, and I asked him why he never confronted me. He told me that he preferred giving me a taste of my own medicine by keeping me in the dark till he got his revenge. I asked him why he never tried to stop me even before Raphael and I had taken things to the next level. Leonard told me that he didn't care what I ended up doing. He wanted to know I would still be loyal to him, and he got his answer. He told me that all the money I'd saved with him and the money in his bank was now his. I could not even believe my ears. Leonard was not ready to change your mind even after I begged. My best friend's money was also in his bank, and I knew that she would soon ask for it. It felt like the whole world had suddenly stopped, and I was in the midst of a lot of chaos. Before I could even get my thoughts together, Leonard tossed the divorce papers on the table. I could visibly see that he had already signed the divorce papers. There was nothing I could do, and I accepted the consequences of my actions. I asked Leonard to forgive me and that I was very sorry for everything I did to him. But Leonard told me that he would never give me the satisfaction of granting me forgiveness. As if all that was not enough, he asked me to leave the house immediately. I had no way to go and I was broke, but he didn't care. Even though I had been going through a lot that day, I asked him what would happen at his workplace now. Leonard looked me in the eye and told me that he was not going to do anything about it. He said I was not worth losing his job over. He told me that he will still go to work and pretend like his boss didn't do anything. But I knew that Leonard was just bluffing. I knew that he was still going to do something. I'm very worried that his career is going to suffer because of me. Men have ego, and they will never let something like this go. I feel really bad, and I know that I am to blame. I already feel enough guilt, and I don't think I'll be able to handle it if he loses his job because of me. Leonard made it clear that I was just a stupid mistake. That was all Leonard said to me before he kicked me out of the house. It's been 2 months now, and I am now wallowing in my own self-pity. Raphael never contacted me, even though I'm sure he heard of what happened. The rumors spread like wildfire, and I'm sure everyone in our city knows the truth. I can see that I was just a pawn in his game. He had issues with my husband at work and decided to use me to get on my husband's nerves. I was stupid enough to fall for everything and end up as the collateral damage. I signed the divorce papers, and our divorce is still in process. I don't know how I'm going to survive the next few weeks, but I guess I'll survive just like I've survived for the past 2 months. I don't know what to do, Reddit. My guilt is eating me up. I have a court hearing in a few minutes, so I will end this update here. I'll make an update soon after the divorce finalized. Update. I'm now a divorced woman. I cannot even believe that my marriage did not last 3 years. I cannot believe that I made myself fall prey to a lot of things. I am miserable, Reddit. I don't know how to get my life back together. The comments were just as outrageous as I thought they'd be. I didn't expect anything else. You all didn't disappoint at all. I'm still thankful for the comments because it's helped me work on myself even though it's been difficult. The divorce was finalized a few days ago, and since there are no children involved, there was less drama. I got alimony even though it was cut down to the minimum. And I sound like a greedy woman, but what can I do? Leonard took every cent and penny that belonged to me. I'm broke, and I even owe my best friend a lot of money. I tried taking up the case in court, but I lost even before the case began. I didn't have money to hire a lawyer, so I was advised by my parents to just let it go. My parents are devastated, and they do not want to talk to me. The only person that has been accommodating is my best friend. She keeps reminding me of her money, and she's also very angry with me, but she has been nice enough to let me stay with her. I discovered that there was actually a lot of drama in Leonard's workplace. Apparently, Leonard already had a fight with his boss. Since his boss is not directly the owner of the bank and is just the head of Leonard's department, he could not do anything to sabotage his career like I feared. Leonard is still working at his bank, and that just makes me pity myself more. The boss and Leonard are trying to keep a cordial relationship at work, and nothing really changed for them. But I am here suffering a lot because of the decision me and Raphael made. The only difference is that Raphael is not at the receiving end of all the drama. I don't think there's anything that could ever describe the level of self-hate I feel right now. But I think I'll be a narcissist if I didn't feel guilty at all. I'd hate myself if I didn't feel bad for what I did. I'm focusing on my business right now so I can be able to pay my best friend back. I'll stop the update, guys. That's all that's been happening in my life. I'm thankful that I started this journey and decided to share my story. Thank you all for listening to me. My husband has been ignoring me consistently, and I'm tired of it. What kind of man thinks it's okay to marry a wife, then act like you don't know her? He doesn't give me attention at all, and it's honestly making me very angry. I'm tired of fighting for my husband's attention and trying to make him finally pay attention to me. I don't think that's the normal way to live at all, and it's so annoying. I practically ran here to Reddit today because I'm tired of acting like a pick-me-up girl with my own husband. I thought marriages were supposed to take the effort of both partners. Why am I the one putting in 90% effort while my husband just lays back and ignores me? I literally fight for his attention every single day. It's hard living that kind of life, and it's the most mentally draining thing ever. I'm slowly making up my mind to do something that's going to have consequences. He's pushing me, and I know that when I make that decision, none of us will ever recover from it. My name is Tiana, and I'm a 29-year-old woman from Washington, D.C. I've been married to my husband Spencer for the past 1 year and a half. He's 30 years old, and I thought he was the best thing that happened to me for a very long time. Spencer and I dated for 2 years before we got married to each other. We met at the fundraiser for an event, and that was how we just started off as friends. I liked his personality a lot, and I liked the fact that he was a very jovial person. I'm also a very jovial person who is very interested in social activities, and that is why I was drawn to him. Our relationship was really okay, and we had the best time together. That's why we started taking things seriously, and then Heck proposed. I think the problem started from the first week of our marriage. The problem started that early, and it has taken a lot of patience for me to endure everything. Let me just put it this way, without me mincing any words. My husband is a family man, and he is very close to his family. Normally, that is not supposed to be a problem, but in my situation, it is a very big problem. I don't think marrying a family man is really the best decision I made, and I am still regretting it to this day. I get that he was close to his family before he met me, and it is supposed to be that way, but there are certain boundaries you have to draw once you get married. You don't just suddenly decide to get married and then you make your wife feel like she has to scramble and fight for your attention. It's not a competition, and even though it was, your wife is not supposed to be involved in any competition for your attention at all. I'm honestly sick and tired of the unnecessary jabs his family throws at me just because they feel like he is closer to them than me. I get that they were with him for years before he met me, but hold on. Isn't the wife supposed to be the first priority of her husband in the marriage? I don't get why that should ever be a question, or why his family members should come to our house and stay over for weeks. I am not even exaggerating when I say that they come to our house and stay over for as long as they want. My husband owns a very big house, and he lived in the house even before he met him. There are many rooms, and I can even tell that the house was initially supposed to be a family house. I don't know why a single man would have that many rooms. When I asked him, he just told me that he made the house big enough so that his family members can come and sleep over anytime. At first, I didn't see it as a big deal because I thought it was normal for family members to come visit once in a while. But that is it. Family members are only to come and visit once in a while. I don't get why they are coming to visit literally every 2 months and then they stay for almost a month. You guys need to see how I am typing on this keyboard with a lot of anger. I am practically fuming and pressing the keys furiously because it just doesn't make sense that my husband would let his sisters stay at our own house for almost 1 month. I mean, if they just stayed and didn't cause any trouble, I would not have a problem with it, but oh no. Have I told you guys about his sisters? They act like they are coming to seek their boyfriend, and they have every right to litter the house. There was even a time when one of his sisters brought her boyfriend to come visit. They have no respect for me, and they have no regard. I come from a very respectful family, and in our family, it is very important that boundaries are drawn. My parents even feel bad to stay the night when they visit. I beg them to come over sometimes, but they want to respect boundaries. I'm not trying to say he should not be close to his family members, but please, let the boundaries and lines stay drawn. I don't get why his sisters act like they are the ones married to my own husband. Let me also talk about how my husband completely ignores me when they are around. It's not like I'm exaggerating or saying he doesn't speak to me. He speaks to me, but the problem is that he doesn't act like we're a normal couple in front of his family. When they are gone, I get back his full attention, but he barely acknowledges me in front of them. I can't make jokes or even miss my husband in our own home, as far as his siblings are watching, or his mother is in the living room. They smile and act like they like me in his presence, but when he's not around, it's a different story. I've had to endure all these for 1.5 years, and I'm tired. He's not home as much as I am, so he doesn't understand anything I'm going through. I also have my work, but when they are around, I find it hard to go to work and leave my house to them. They touch everything they see. And I've tried talking to my husband about it, but it seems like me bringing up the topic just annoys him. He brushed it off, then asked me a very stupid question like, "Don't you like my family?" A yes or no question. What am I supposed to say? No? It's almost like he's suppressing me. So that's why I've decided to take a step back and continuously think of what I'm going to do. I have decided to share my story on Reddit and get proper advice because I've seen how other people come here to ask for advice. I'm not ready to just sit back and let him and his family trample over me. I met a man, and I want him to act like my husband. If he's not ready to do that, then I might look elsewhere. I don't care what he says or thinks, but it's not right to isolate your wife no matter the excuse you think you have for doing that. Update. I cheated on my husband. I did it, and I know you all warned me, but guess what? It's been a lot of red flags from Spencer. I am currently on a trip right now, and you guys would not believe what is going on now. I decided to have some time alone with my husband so I could truly, fully decide where he stands and what he is actually up to. When I made my last update, many of you stated that I was being too fast in my judgment and thinking too fast. Some people also said that they fully supported whatever I had to do because they could relate to my situation one way or another. To be sincere, I'm still glad that many people decided to read my story and give their various opinions. I never expected Spencer to turn out this way at all. He's almost acting like someone entirely different. I don't want to be married to someone I don't know and someone who is playing hard to get. Most people are trying to make this about me and act like I am the one being difficult. I got a lot of people asking me if I don't have any conscience for even thinking about cheating on my husband. I don't think those people understand that it is always the person who wears the shoe that goes through the problems. I'm not ready to be that person that lets anyone trample all over her. Even after what you all said, and I did not agree with most of the comments, I decided to give it a try and actually have some alone time with my husband. About 2 weeks ago, I told him that I would be planning a getaway for just the two of us. I told him 1 week ahead of time so he would have enough time to plan whatever he wanted to do. Spencer agreed, and he told me that he would have enough time to go on the trip with me. It was the first time since many years after our marriage that we got time together. I didn't actually expect him to say yes at first, so when he said yes, I made a lot of plans to make sure that everything was perfect. I was actually daydreaming and thinking that I was finally going to get my husband back. And now that I think about it, I think it was very weird that I as a woman would need to be happy just because I would have a little bit of time with my husband. It's supposed to be a normal thing, and there's no need for me to be so excited. But the situation is different, and I am literally sharing my husband with the whole of his family, so it is quite difficult to get his attention. I prepared everything, and when it was 2 days to the trip, I started buying some things and bringing them to the house so that we would not need to waste a lot of time shopping on the road. During one of my shopping sprees, one of Spencer's sisters who was at the house noticed that I had been buying stuff and keeping it in our room. I didn't think it was a big deal, and I didn't think I had any reason to hide any of what I was buying for my own house from them. But she went to go talk to the rest of her siblings after figuring out that we were going on a trip, and some hours before our trip 2 days later, they showed up at the house. Spencer was not at home by that time because he went to get something last minute. His mother actually walked up to me to ask me why I was making her son take decisions without consulting her. I am not even trying to mince words here, Reddit. It's the absolute truth, and I was very surprised when I heard her say those words. I asked her what she meant by that, and she told me that I was making Spencer go on a trip without telling her first. It was at that moment that I realized that I got married to a mommy's boy. Why would his mother feel it was okay for her to ask me why we were going on a business trip without telling her first? What difference does it make, and how is it any of her business? I didn't even know what to say to her because I did not want to end up disrespecting her. I just waited for Spencer to come back and take care of the situation. When Spencer came back, she spoke to him much more nicely than she spoke to me. It was like she was trying to poke me behind him and then get a reaction out of me in front of him. I have heard a lot about evil mother-in-laws, but I never thought I would end up in a similar situation. Her audacity was just too much. She didn't even directly tell Spencer she was upset. She just beat around the bush continuously, and then that was all. Spencer and I ended up going to the airport almost 30 minutes late because his mother had to say unnecessary things and give unnecessary advice. I didn't let her negative energy stop me from trying to put effort into the trip. I tried my best to keep a positive attitude and not soil the mood because of his mother. Spencer was like a different man after we got to the hotel. He was back to acting like the man I used to know. I was very happy to have him back, and I honestly wanted to update you all immediately. I wanted to let Reddit know that their advice worked, and he was finally talking to me again. I was like a girl in a toy shop. I don't really know how the story goes, so let's leave it that way, lol. During the trip, we went to several places and did a lot of fun things. We're still at the hotel, and we're only to leave in 1 week's time. Everything started out great, to be honest, and I had nothing to fault. It felt like a breath of fresh air to be away from Spencer's family for that long. Because I wanted to save marriage and have a clean conscience, I decided to have another conversation with Spencer. Listen, my husband is great when he is not around his family. He's the definition of sweet, and he's the husband I knew before getting married. But once he's in front of his family, he tries to put on this hard demeanor. I wanted to speak to him about that because it makes no sense for a man to do that to his wife. I get that some men want to make their family believe that they have a mind of their own and don't always listen to their wives. It's a normal thing among men, and I know this because I've heard many stories about it and have even seen some evidence before. I decided to have a conversation with Spencer, and I planned on clearing up everything. I told him about my displeasure with his family coming over almost every day. Spencer was really shocked when I said that, and he did not even try to hide his displeasure. I couldn't understand why he had to pick up a fight with me, just because I was not happy with his family. I didn't even try to sugarcoat anything, and I told him that his sisters were getting on my nerves. I don't know if it was his male ego trying to take over or just his love for his family, but he was not even ready to listen to me. He kept putting words in my mouth and trying to make it seem like I was the one being difficult. Just like he always did, he tried to use those yes or no questions to discourage me. But I was not ready to be discouraged, and I made sure that I did not stutter when I told him that I did not plan on sharing him with his family. It was a very complicated conversation, and I even began to regret taking up the conversation in the first place. At some point, I got up and tried to walk out, and that was when Spencer asked me to just sit and listen to me. He began to say things like he was sorry for inconveniencing me, and that he was just a man who was very close to his family. So I tried to make him understand that I did not have a problem with him being close to his family, and that I just had a problem with his family, trying their best to come in between me and him. I don't know why he finds it hard to understand such simple things, and why he always tries to guilt trip me and make me feel like I was bringing up unnecessary problems. It was almost like every single time I brought up a conversation, the same pattern always happened, and we ended up going nowhere in the conversation. I never realized that I would have to choose my words before speaking to my own husband. Even though the memory of everything that happened sickens me and makes me very angry, I'm just super happy that I made sure I left no stone unturned and tried my best. At least I would have enough evidence to show to anyone that dared and tried to judge me. When Spencer noticed that I was very angry and did not really want to continue the conversation, he decided to try his best and calm me down by making up excuses. He asked me to tell him exactly what his family did that continued to piss me up. I did not blame him for asking me that because I was very well aware that his family never showed their other side in his presence. They always reserved their shady side for me and treated me in a cold way when he was around. That had been the pattern for a long time, and I wanted to be a virtuous wife and just keep quiet and endure like every other woman did. But I discovered that the more I tried to make peace and just ignore any arguments, the more they tried to poke me and get a reaction out of me. If not even my own parents felt comfortable coming to my house and discomforting us. I don't get why his family should think that the house was their second home. I was so serious that I spoke to Spencer in such a harsh tone that he had to understand that I was not joking. He apologized immediately and told me that was just being protective of his family. I told him that didn't make sense and that I was supposed to be his first priority when it came to being protective. I made sure he understood that I was also someone's family, and they transferred all their responsibility to him. I made him understand that he had to step up. Spencer did not like my time because I was speaking very harshly, and I don't deny that. I had to calm down because I was really upset. He told me he understood what I was saying, and that even though I'd been overacting, he was going to try his best to make sure his family drew some boundaries. His words calmed me down a lot, and I finally told him that all I'd wanted was for him to see things from my own point of view. It's that simple, right? I also told him that I hated the fact that I have to practically plead for his attention. He tried to deny that being true, but I gave him so many instances that he had to accept my claims. That's pretty much how the conversation ended, and for the first time ever, I'd believed that we made progress in our couple conversations. It was the first time that happened in a very long time, and I didn't take it for granted at all. So it's surprising for me to realize that everything I said to my husband literally entered one ear and left through the next. He has decided to do exactly what I asked him not to do. I've tried my best, and at this point, I'm honestly done. I no longer have a conscience because it's outrageous at this point. No one has a right to blame me at all. What kind of situation have I found myself in? I came on this trip and planned it because I needed time together with Spencer. But right now, it seems like Spencer is not interested in having the same time alone with me. If you all are wondering why I'm being this angry, I'll be more than glad to let you all know the messed up things Spencer did recently that just drove me over the edge. We went to the beach together, and I put on my brand new bikini. That was just barely 2 days after we had the very important conversation. I thought I'd spoken some sense into Spencer, and he was going to listen to me and try to do his best in our marriage. He seemed to comply, but he decided to do something crazy at the beach. I had my bikini on, and I even put on my sunscreen and everything. Lol. It's a big deal because I hardly ever try to do all those things because I don't have time to go to beaches. But I had to put in an effort because I wanted to get back to the way Spencer and I had a fun marriage and relationship. We had drinks, and we even had some tacos that I'd made earlier that day. It was supposed to be a fun day with a lot of minimal stress and barely any work. We agreed to switch off our phones and just focus on ourselves because we really needed that kind of vibe. I didn't think twice before switching off my phone because I didn't think anything was more important than bonding with my husband. I ain't even lying to you guys. I tried to make some flirty moves and just act crazy with him. He's my husband after all. So I didn't feel shy or embarrassed at all. Like I said, I've always been a jovial person, and I'm the type to do entertaining things and just have fun in every situation no matter what. That was just me being me. But Spencer decided to break the deal. He didn't switch off his phone after telling me that he did. He lied. Okay, if it has been a work calm that pooped up. If not, have a problem with it. He has a right to work, and his work earns him money. They were even kind enough to grant his sudden leave request. But I think the reason is because he hardly requests any leave from work at all. But in that situation, it was not a work call at all. It was a personal call, and can you guys get who it was from? His mother. Yes, his mother called him while we were busy on a getaway trip. I mean, the whole point of a getaway trip is to drop all the stress behind and just loosen up. I don't care what anyone says. I'm really calling his mother stress, because that woman has stressed me out in too many ways. When Spencer picked up the call and I found out it was his mother that called. I was very pissed off, but I tried my best to contain my anger. I didn't want to end up being that woman that just couldn't control herself. I wanted to listen to what she had to say first in case she had any important thing to discuss with him. There was nothing important at all. She just called because a close relative of theirs was in the same city we were in, and she needed Spencer to pick that person up and lodge a hotel for that person. I thought I was hearing things and that Spencer was just trying to pull my leg, but no, his mother really requested that of him. What kind of a woman requests that from her son when she knows fully well that he is busy with his wife? It was a very dumb request, and it made no sense because she knew that we had gone on a trip together. If we hadn't been on a trip, where would that relative go? The coincidence was just too much, and something told me that they had planned it. Why else would a relative suddenly visit the same city we were in? Even if it was purely coincidental and it was not planned, what business do we have with the relative that came to the city? Couldn't the relative find their way and do something on their own? Why travel to a city you know nothing about and then expect someone to come and babysit you and carry you around? At first, I was very pissed, and I tried to laugh off the anger I felt with Spencer. I tried to make up jokes and pretend like I was not really angry. That was because I didn't really expect Spencer to get up and tell me that he was going to pick up the relative. When he said that to me, it was honestly like he was from another planet and was trying to deceive me. But first, I was actually serious. and he grabbed his wallet and started preparing to leave. The man I married wanted to ditch me for a relative. It was not the best situation to be in, and I watched him like a hawk watching its prey. Why would Spencer think it was okay to just decide to leave me at a beach and try to go and make a relative comfortable? Even after all the conversations I had with him about me not liking the fact that I was sharing my husband with his family members, he still did the exact same thing I told him I did not like. I actually waited at that pool thinking that Spencer would run back and tell me he was just joking. That's just how confused and surprised I had been. Apart from being in a state of shock, I was actually very embarrassed. I started asking myself questions that I never thought I'd ask myself. I had to ask myself if my husband found some relative I didn't even know more important than me, his own wife. I did not like that at all, and it took me several minutes to get my thoughts together and decide the next step. I was so embarrassed because some people at the beach saw how he practically stood up and walked away, and I had been calling after him, but he didn't look back once. It had to be one of the most embarrassing moments of my life. It was a very weird kind of situation because I realized that I was not a priority to Spencer at all. It just meant that I did not matter to him, and he did not give me attention. He wanted me to beg for his attention and have to wait in line. I was not ready to live that kind of life and be that kind of person. I can't even describe how angry I had been that day. I was very upset, and I think I was even fuming. I did not bother parking the drinks and food we got. I just grabbed my purse and stormed out of the beach. Even though I knew people were looking at me because of the way I was grumbling, I did not care to look back because I knew that it was not going to get me anywhere. I went back to the hotel room and waited for Spencer for over 3 hours. Yet, he did not come out. I got tired of waiting, and I was also very angry. I got dressed and left the hotel room that same night. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, but I knew that I wanted to make sure I upsetted Spencer in a very harsh way. I did not underestimate my abilities to do exactly what I set my mind to, and in less than 4 hours of staying out and about, I had a one-night stand with a random guy. He wasn't really random because I recognized him as someone that went to the same college I went to. He was the one that worked up to me and asked me if I still remembered him. I did remember him, and that's how we started a conversation, and then it happened. I did not feel guilty at all when I woke up the next morning. My anger did not let me feel any guilt, and even now, as I write this, I don't feel any guilt at all. If a person, and especially a wife, has to constantly demand her husband's attention and respect, there is nothing to feel guilty about when she decides to look elsewhere. I'm also a human being, and I have feelings that can be hurt too. I don't think it's right at all for Spencer to ditch his own wife. Well, Spencer ditched me, and I ditched him too, so it was a two-way thing. I'm not sorry for doing that to Spencer, and if I have my way, I would honestly do it again. I don't think Spencer even knows or even cares. He's too busy trying to be the perfect son and staying under his family's control. I don't need that for my life, and I've tried to be that virtuous, kind woman for 1.5 years, and it has gotten me nowhere. The more I tolerated, the more disrespect I got. It was like a circle that kept on repeating itself, and Spencer didn't care less. So let me tell you guys what happened after I left the guy's house. I don't want to reveal his name because it's really nothing serious, and it was just a one-night stand. When I got back to the hotel room that day, I met Spencer at the hotel. He looked very angry, and then he asked me where I had been all night. I ignored him all throughout his rants, and I just went to freshen up in the toilet. Spencer got so angry that he came to stand in my way. I tried ignoring him because I did not want to have any conversation that would make me say hurtful things to him. I knew that our marriage was literally over, and there was no saving it at all. I didn't even want to save a marriage that never had any form of respect for me. Maybe that's why I don't regret cheating on him. I realized that I also deserve to be happy, and that I don't want to spend my life chasing after someone that doesn't respect me. Marriage is not supposed to consist of one partner looking for attention and another partner trying to frustrate that partner. Spencer did not let me rest, and he made sure that we had an argument. I tried my best to avoid the argument, but since he made sure that I had no space to think, I engaged in a very heated argument with him. I made him understand that he was very stupid if he thought it was okay for him to just leave me at the beach and then go wherever he wanted to. Our arguments mainly consisted of back and forth, and then he tried to accuse me of being reckless because I decided to leave the hotel without letting him know. Imagine a man that was not even at the hotel before I left, accusing me of being reckless. I said too many things to him that I am really happy that I finally said my mind. I also told him that I cheated on him because I am not sorry, and I do not want to hide it. I knew that the marriage was over, and I was not even interested in saving it in the first place. At first, Spencer did not believe it, and he thought that I was just lying and trying to play a prank on him, because I was still very angry he left me at the beach. I did not care whether he thought it was true or not. I did not laugh at his jokes, and I told him that I was very serious. When Spencer realized that I was not joking, he punched the wall, then left the hotel. It's been over 24 hours and Spencer has not come back. I've used the opportunity to update you guys, and I will give the last update when I get back to Washington, D.C. I have an early flight and I have to get to bed now. I have also moved to another hotel room and locked the door because I do not trust that Spencer would not try anything with me. I have packed my things and I'll be ready to go tomorrow. Update 2. So when I got back to Washington, D.C., Spencer was not yet back, and I used the opportunity to pack my things and move out of his house. His family was around because they had been staying at the house even while we were on the trip. They did not seem surprised to see me packing my things, and I imagined that they already knew what happened. Or it was either that they were happy to see me go. Either way, I didn't care, and I just packed my things. Before I left, I told them they could now have Spencer to themselves, and I asked them if they were happy that he was single. His mother just laughed in my face and told me that she had never liked me from the beginning, and she was glad that I was no longer with her son. I told her I was glad too, and I needed to throw a celebration for escaping a mommy's boy. After I left the house, I went back to my parents' house and explained everything to them. They did not support the fact that I cheated instead of just walking away, but they were glad that I was finally free from such a marriage. I filed for divorce immediately after that, and Spencer sent back the signed papers barely a few hours after I sent them to him. We only saw each other in court after that, but there was no altercation. I had nothing to say to him, and he had nothing to say to me. Our divorce was finalized 3.5 months ago, and I've gone back to my normal way of life. It's much better now, and I'm back to my jovial self. I'm not sorry for cheating on Spencer because that was my own way of paying him back for the way he treated me. I don't deserve to be desperate for my husband's attention, and I am finally glad that I got out of that marriage. If time turned back again, and I was left in the same position where I had to cheat on Spencer, I would do it in a heartbeat, just like he ditched me at the beach in the heartbeat. I'm super grateful to everyone that has always been and shared their thoughts. I don't think anyone would ever truly understand how hard this would have been without having people to talk to. Thank you so much for listening to me. Goodbye, you all.